Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Purpose Driven Life Sports, and I'm back here for another NBA video. So, last night, it was Milwaukee Bucks and Celtics, like I talked about yesterday, and then you had the Warriors versus Rockets, both Game 4. So now the Bucks are up 3-1. I cannot say that I'm totally surprised after the way that the Boston Celtics have looked like they're reverting back to the old ways during the middle of the regular season where everybody's just kind of doing their own thing. They don't look together as a team. There's a lot of missed rotations. And I will say some of it is on Boston. I'm going to give Boston 30% of the credit. I'm going to give 70% to the Celtics. And here's why. I mean, 30% to the Celtics and 70% to the Bucks. Excuse me. And here's why. Every time the Celtics have gone on a run, the Bucks have responded with their own. They can go down, and then you can see some guy on the bench stepping up. You know, you got Giannis who gets into foul trouble. You have 3 fouls. I think it was late in the second half. He got 3 fouls, had to come out. Got his 4th foul early in the third quarter. Then you had George Hill who stepped up, who had another 15-point game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. He didn't shoot great from the three-point line, so what he did was he got inside, got to the free throw line. You had Eric Bledsoe who shot 6 of 12 from the field. He was getting inside. Even Chris Middleton got into foul trouble. He shot terribly from the game last night, but he played excellent defense. Giannis had 39 points, 16 rebounds, and 4 assists. So basically, he's back to doing what he does, which is dominating the game physically. He's a guy who's physically going to get to the hole, and he's going to dominate anybody who gets in his way. That's what he's back to doing right now. Because something that Boston has got away from or isn't committing to anymore is just walling off the middle. I don't see why you would get away from this because it worked in the first game. And it seems ever since the first game, it's either that Boston has gotten too confident or that those 2 losses they had before Game 4, they just completely lost confidence. I don't know what it is because they're shooting well from the 3. But like I said again, Kyrie is not shooting well from the field. And I think he's taking too many shots. You know, when you're shooting 7 of 22, you're taking away shots from other people that you should not be shooting, even though you're great players in Kyrie. Well, guess what? Other guys like Jason Tatum, other guys in Jaylen Brown, you know, maybe even Al Horford, or a guy like Gordon Hayward, who's had a bad series as well. I heard he was a minus 49 this series. Plus minus is how many points you're outscoring your opponent, or you're being outscored when you're on the floor, by the way. You're taking away shots from other people. And like I said, Kyrie's a great player. But when you're not feeling it, the best thing you can do is get other guys involved. And then once other guys are getting involved, you can find your shot at the rim, getting to the free throw line, seeing his shot go through the basket. And it seems that in every game, in the games that Kyrie has struggled, even though he's had over 20 points, he's not efficient from the field. And to me, it's killing the team because he keeps taking shots and taking more shots. Well, guess what? Then you got those other 3 guys that I mentioned. 4 guys. Al Horford. You got Jason Tatum. You got Jaylen Brown. Gordon Hayward. And then here's one thing. Marcus Morris is playing he's playing great in the series. He's shooting well from the field. He even had 12 rebounds last night. To me, Kyrie has to get better at knowing when to pick his spots, when to score, and get other guys involved, which to me he did great in the first game. But too many times I see the inconsistency with his playmaking to where he gets tunnel vision, which means, you know, he's in one mindset where I'm just trying to score. Well, to me, if Kyrie, if you really want to improve your game and you want to help your team improve, then you got to find other ways to help your team by not just trying to score. That's one thing that I have a problem with in this generation of great players is that, or young players as well, is that sometimes when guys aren't scoring or they're not shooting the ball well, they want to keep taking shots. Well, the great players, one guy that had a bad game but did a lot of other things, I would say, is a guy in Stephen Curry. We talk about him a lot is shooting. Well, Steph Curry's a great playmaker. He's a great rebounder. And he plays average defense and sometimes above average defense. So guys like Stephen Curry. LeBron, to a certain extent, actually does that to me. That is what I see as well, where if he's not scoring, he's such a great passer that he gets other guys involved. He rebounds. And everybody's like he's one of the most inconsistent defenders at this point in his career, which I do say he's inconsistent at times. LeBron finds ways to make plays on the defensive side. I see players like Kevin Durant who does that. Klay Thompson, everybody's like he's a great shooter. Klay Thompson is also one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. Kawhi Leonard. Even though Kawhi Leonard's not, he's shooting 60% from the field. Kawhi Leonard's not missing right now, but he's making plays on the other end. Kyrie has to find ways to do that because if we view him as a superstar, right? Well, to me, if you want to be viewed as a superstar, you got to do other things like that. I'm seeing Giannis do that in this series where he's getting his other guys involved before he ultimately takes over the game like he did in the fourth quarter last night. I don't know how many points he had in the fourth quarter. Man, he was just dunking on people. He was getting mad. He was flexing on guys, and there was nothing they could do about it. If there's a point where a guy's getting driven on and then you're just stepping up and just smacking at his arm, then you're not engaged. And I saw that at the end of the game last night where Milwaukee just took over late, especially Giannis, and they just made the Boston Celtics were not engaged. And to me, I got to give 70% of the credit to the Bucks because everybody's finding different ways to contribute, and they're doing this without Malcolm Brogdon. When he comes back, this team's going to be even more formidable because right now they're at a point right now where things are just clicking. They're playing with grit. They're playing with toughness. Eric Bledsoe's playing great defense. He's blocking shots at 6'3". And even though he's 6'3", he's got a great vertical. This guy can actually get up. But everybody's doing something different. Brook Lopez, when he's not shooting well, he's getting to the rim. He's blocking shots. He's getting rebounds. So what really impresses me about this Milwaukee team is that everybody's finding different ways to do something. Even though a lot of guys aren't, even if a guy's not shooting well, he's finding different ways to contribute. Boston, they're not engaged and they're not finding different ways to contribute, which is if you're not offensively doing something, defensively, go make a play. Go get a steal. Close out a defensive possession with a rebound. Those are things as a team that you need to do that they're not doing. And to me, that's why Boston will ultimately lose Game 5. I picked Boston in Game 7 in the 7-game series. This to me is not going to get to a 7th game because they're not engaged. And if this is going to turn around, then they have to show me toughness and grit in Game 5. Sorry. I'm not after this I'm not picking the Celtics. So the Bucks want to be over. Now to the Rockets and Warriors. I'm not worried about the Warriors for this reason, while other people are, is that they seem to always find their way back against Houston. They were down 13 points again last night at the end of the third quarter. They ended up closing the gap to 9 points at the start of the fourth. They keep finding ways to make plays and stay in the game. And they're doing it without shooting the three ball very well. This is why I'm not worried. Because it only takes one game for Klay Thompson and Steph Curry to turn this whole thing around. And Steph Curry shot only 4 of 14. Klay shot 1 of 6. Kevin Durant even shot 2 of 6 from last night. So, but they only lost 112 to 108. You guys see what I'm saying is that if you're losing by only 4 and you're not shooting the ball well and you're a superior team, you know what that says in your mind? You're not worried. Because as soon as you start shooting the ball well, Houston made 17 threes last night. They shot 17 of 50. You shot 8 of 33, but you only lost by 4 points. I'm not worried about Golden State at all because it like I said, it takes one quarter, it takes one half for them to really turn a game around. And it seems to me that Golden State is so good that they can take a run from Houston because they know that defensively they make plays, which is why I trust Golden State more than any other team, is that they can get down, but they go on so many stretches where, okay, we're going to allow you. I'm just going to say is they allow teams to make runs at times, I think. And people I've still noticed they want to figure you out. So they want to take your best punch at times so then they can come back and then they can show you that, okay, we know what you guys want to do. We're going to make sure that we limit that, but we're also going to go on our own little run to take over this game and close it out. We saw that at different times in the Clippers series, especially in I believe it was either game 4 or 5. I think it was game 4 back in LA. Or was it game 3? It was either game 3 or 4. when they were down in the third quarter, they went on a run and closed the game out. Golden State has yet to have that type of quarter or type of run yet where they take over and their shooting just takes over. Everybody keeps talking about their shooting. Well, here's why I'm also not worried. Shooting the three ball is a staple, but ball movement has been a problem in this series where the ball is sticking to one guy. It's sticking to Kevin Durant, sticking to Steph Curry, sticking to Klay Thompson. It's just, in this series, I've seen a lot of positions where it's only one or two passes or where it's zero passes. Because Houston, like I said, they love to switch. They love to be physical. I'm just going to say it. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are getting grabbed. And I'm not going to complain about it because there's a lot of guys are getting grabbed. But Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are getting grabbed. And also, they're making sure that whenever there's a down screen, they're switching that. That screener, I want to keep saying that screener has to either slip it because you know that Houston's going to switch, slip the screen because what they're going to do is they're going to double Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. They're always going to double them to me. That screener, either it's Andre Iguodala or Draymond Green, slip that screen and get to the basket. It's an easy back cut or it's an easy slip to the basket. They have to start taking advantage of this. It is really not that hard. I think Golden State wants to try to get back to their ball movement. That is what's ultimately going to help them. Because guess what? Once they start overhelping, that leaves another guy open in the other corner. So you got to start slipping these screens. You got to start using these back cuts. And to me, they were doing that in the first two games to a certain extent. I didn't like how they didn't slip the screens as much in the first two games. They definitely didn't do it in game 3 or 4. If they want to make this go, they got to start doing that and find more ways to get the pick and roll going. Because to me, if Steph Curry and Draymond are doing the pick and roll, it's unguardable. Because Steph Curry is always going to get doubled. He jumps it to Draymond Green. Draymond Green is such a smart offensive player that he knows what his options are. He's either going to get to the rim and finish, or he's going to have a guy who's going to step up that leaves another guy open, which is usually going to be Andre Iguodala, who's actually shooting well from the corner and from the three-point corner of this series. So that part, if Golden State fixes those issues, they will win this series in 6 games. Defensively, I can't say anything because Golden State's playing excellent defense. Their problem is rebounding and boxing out. If Golden State was rebounding and boxing out, then Houston's probably scoring 105 because even though they're shooting the three ball well, they're only shooting 43% from the field, which means they're getting extra possessions to shoot the three ball or get to the lane and getting offensive rebounds. Golden State's got to fix that. That's the only thing I got to say. But I'm not worried about the Warriors. I expect them to win Game 5, and I definitely expect they can win Game 6 in the Toyota Center because they won Game 7 last year, even though it was out Chris Paul. They can still win Game 7. And another thing I want to mention before I close out this video is that Golden State's also got to take advantage of that small ball lineup like they did in the first 2 games when they went small with Austin Rivers and took out Clint Capella. Get back to offensive rebounding. Because if you do that, that's going to force them to have to play bigger. And even though that's a size disadvantage for Draymond to me can actually guard Clint Capella better than a lot of guys can. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. This is my analysis on the 2 games last night. I'm picking the Bucks to win Game 5. I'm picking the Warriors to win Game 5 and 6. And this was fun breaking this down. Thank you guys for listening to this video, and I see you guys in the next video.